What is up, Internet Land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with a Transformers third-party review. This one's kind of an older figure. I actually was online recently, and I found a pile of stuff for sale. They had a couple Gundam models and some third-party figures and stuff like that, and this was included in that lot. I actually got it for pretty dirt cheap. But yeah, I know this guy came out several years ago. Like 10 years ago, something like that. But I figured, why not? If I've got it in my possession, I might as well review it. So this is the Alien Attack Firage, or Firage? I think that's Italian for fire, but I don't know because I don't speak Italian. I barely even speak English some days, as anybody watching this channel for a while can attest. But yeah. Anyhow, so this is Alien Attack's take on the movie Dino from the third Transformers movie. Or is it second? Second, I think. Yeah, it was from the second Transformers movie. If you don't recognize him, it's because he was only in for about 10 seconds. I think he had exactly one line and one action pose that showed up in a trailer because someone thought that would sell movies. And apparently it did. And then we never saw or heard from him ever again. He just straight up disappeared. Became a, plot hole inconsistency like most of the Michael Bay movies, so... Most parts of the Michael Bay movies is what I mean to say. But yeah, so here we go. He's actually fairly clean from behind, which is almost kind of surprising. He's got a really, when he first came out, I was kind of interested because he's got this really kind of a stylized look, in that you look at him and he doesn't look like he turns into a Ferrari. He doesn't look like he turns into anything. But my thoughts upon actually having him, and maybe some of my issues may come from the fact that I've got a used secondhand copy, and some of them may have to do with the fact that it's just how it is. This figure is really finicky in that nothing. These come up here and they go into a position, right? But we're not sure exactly what position, and there's no detent to oh yeah, this is where it locks in. Nope, you just kind of put it up there till, your ancestors tell you that's the right place. And then you park it there. And these doors, they've got little pegs, but they don't go into the pegs. So you just kind of sit them up there till, you like how they look, and then they'll get jostled out of place. And these panels here are like that, and these panels here are like that. The arms are on these, multiple joints in here, which is great for posability, but it's bad for where do you put it. Do you put it up here? Do you put it down here? Where do you put it? And whatever you do with it, it's going to, as you handle it, it's going to, kind of slouch and whatnot. So you have to come in here and constantly reposition it. You've got some pegs that peg into things like this. This whole backpack is held up by this one peg here, which is great. I mean, you've got a place to put it, but at the same time, that peg doesn't really like to stay in place, and it will come out, and then this whole thing will just flop out. You've got, the armor panel, all of it, this thing here. It's a detail, and, it's cool looking. But, where does it go? Does it go down here? Does it go up here? Does it go in the middle? I've been putting it somewhere like this. Where, this is kind of at a right angle, and then this is halfway in between. But, I don't know if that's how it's supposed to go. I, unfortunately, did not get instructions with this. Of course, anybody who knows me know that I don't really look at instructions anyhow, because I'm that kind of tool. But, yeah, his face sculpt is accurate enough. Of course, it doesn't help that all of the face sculpts in like most all of the live action movies just look like, yeah, we're going to, take a roll of tinfoil and smush it up and paint some colors on it, and that's a face. That's the face. And sure enough, that's what it looks like, so it's movie accurate, I guess. I also am not sure if I'm getting him to, like, stand straight. Of course, he's got this a number of joints in his legs. So I could have them positioned such that one of his legs is slightly longer than the other, but yeah. But all in all, it's a pretty decent figure. The only thing I can say about it is that it's a bit short. Like, here he is with Bumblebee, and I think that in the movie, these guys were supposed to be roughly around the same size in both robot mode and vehicle mode. Bumblebee's not even in frame. That's how much taller he is. This is just the normal Masterpiece Bumblebee. Well, this is actually the Legendary Toys repaint of that, but, it's the same size and sculpt as the Masterpiece. And, yeah, like, Alien Attack made, this Dino figure, and they made it with, like, movie level, like Masterpiece level, detail and engineering, and then they made him a deluxe class Chug figure, And, it seems like a questionable design choice to me. Also, I can tell you that 10 years have not done the ball joints on this figure any kindness. I've got issues with the ball joints in the ankles and with the ball joints in the shoulders specifically. But let's take a look at his accessories. So he has two of these blade thingamajigs. They are asymmetrical blades. So you've got, like, specifically a left one and a right one. And the way they plug in is you've got this little hole on this thing in the back of the arm that plugs into there. Like so. And they just hang out on his arm like so. Now they do have this little linkage thing going on. And I mean, aside from being a cool looking linkage, I don't know exactly what this is supposed to do. Because if you put it all the way down, they hold out like that. I suppose you could pivot them forward a bit. And then you move them all the way up. It doesn't seem to make a lot of difference in how they fit on his arm. But it's a cool looking linkage. I do like cool linkages, being, an engineer. So he's got two of those, and then he's got two of these grapple things that he used exactly once. And they also plug in to there, and you can flip this out. Oh, that doesn't even do it. I thought something clipped onto that. Well, you can plug it into there, and he can do stuff with them. And these grapple things have got some, joints on them or whatnot. So, somebody put way more work into designing this little grapple thing than it deserved being, all of, half of a second in the movie. But, yeah. That, and then he also comes with this set here, which is, I scratched my head looking at this for a while, and then I realized that this is parts to make fingers. It's got, little joints in here. Let me pull this out of its sandwich baggie. There's a little ball joint there, and this is an interstitial joint, and there's a fingertip there, and there's a fingertip. These are all fingertips. And then it's got these guys here, which I think are another part of a finger, because this guy's got this weird thing coming off of the back of his fingers. When you curl them into a fist, it looks like his hand is open, but the other way. And I don't know, I took one look at that and I was like, nope. I know how much KFC Toys loves their posable hands, so I shouldn't be surprised that they put in opposable hands option, but yeah, I took one look at that and I decided that there's no possible way I was putting that together, and I'm leaving it intact. But that's it for accessories. In terms of posability, his head is on a ball joint. It will wiggle side to side. Lots of posability on this. Looks down a lot, looks up quite a bit. Side to side rotation is fine. He also has got like a giggity giggity going on with his neck. His shoulder, well, I should mention the wings move around like that. Pretty much everything on this figure moves if you poke it enough, which is part of the issue. But little guy moves here and whatnot. So he's got a joint here, and then a hinge joint here, and then a ball joint here. So you can move his arm out, move it forward a bit and back, because this makes like a butterfly joint. And of course it goes all the way around. He's got a bicep rotation right here just above his elbow, double jointed elbow that goes, both ways. This little hinge part here, which doesn't do anything that I can identify. Rotation and hinge at the wrist. Thumb is on a ball joint. Fingers have got 2 hinges in them, so he can make like some semblance of a fist, but not like a very good looking fist. These parts are supposed to peg into there, but they don't really peg in very well at all. He does have a little bit of waist rotation, but then his hips will collide into like all of this stuff on his back. So, but it's, it's a little bit, and, it's kind of what you need, I guess. His hips will go all the way forward, will go pretty far back, go out like nothing. That's like 30% of a Van Damme. He does have a rotation joint right there. He's got a knee joint and a knee joint, and those bend all the way, super deep bend. Plus he's got a joint halfway through his shin, which is mostly for transformation, but you know what? You can display it however you want. He's got these little hingy things on the back that move about. And then on his toes, which all of his toes are die cast. These toes move here, these back toes. These side toes move. And then these front toes move. His ankle itself is a ball joint. Probably could use a little bit of like, kiki juice in there or whatnot. So all in all, it's fairly posable. It looks decently like the figure. Like I said, it is fiddly, but if you get it into a position you like and put it on your shelf, maybe it's okay. That being said, well, I'll get into that with my final recommendations, but yeah, I think that it does all right, especially since we never really got, even the Studio Series isn't really all that. I mean, the Studio Series works fine for like a mainline figure, but even that isn't a very good rendition of the character Dino, whom, we almost never saw, but we certainly never saw a good rendition of. But anyhow, let's get this guy transformed up, and I'll tell you up front, this transformation is kind of something. All right, here we go. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect this peg here, and that's just going to hang out for a bit. While I've got the space open, I'm going to move this panel forward because that's a pain in the ass. And you gotta get it when you can get it. I should tell you that at this point I would disconnect these things from there, but they're probably disconnected already. You want to move these guys out of the way. And you can move these things up, and you can actually peg these in together like right meow. Actually, let's move these things forwards a bit. Am I stuck on something? There we go. these will come out on these little double hinges. So you can get them out to their full width. And then when you're attaching them to these guys here, you'll notice that there's like a tab here, and then there's a tab on this other piece here. And so when they come together, you got to kind of like flex them a bit. It is a pain in the ass to get together, but it's more of a pain in the ass to take apart. So, in fact, I may just not deal with it at this point. Maybe that's how I'm going to deal with this, by not dealing with it. Catch up to that later. Or not. That one went in just fine. This one is being a pain in the ass. Alrighty. Well, that's something. This part will disconnect out, and then you kind of like bring these down for now. They'll come back up in a bit, but you can disconnect these tires from the inside of his torso. That will allow you to flip this whole thing up. That will tuck his head down in between. Oh, this guy moved back in again. If you don't get this panel out of the way, it will thoroughly block the head from coming in. So you need to make sure that's out of the way and stays out of the way. And these guys, we're just going to pull them up and turn them so they face forward. Something like that. These little flamey looking details, you can just slide them together. They are also on double hinges. And again, they don't really have a designated place to go. You just kind of put them in there till you like the way they look. For this part here, you kind of click that in and then tab this part into itself. There's a couple tabs, and they do need to be lined up fairly precisely. With this part here, you can slide this out and then tab it into that red roof section, and then take this guy here and spin that around and bring that out. And then this guy here, you'll bring this down on this double joint, and then you can spin this around, and then you can fold it back up because you'll need that clearance. But what that will allow you to do is to start to bring the hood into alignment. And again, I wish that there was a better way to deal with this, but it's just... You got to make sure that these panels are flush here, and then bring these in and kind of tab them into each other. Boom, there we go. Now this guy here, we're going to bring these around so that these red parts line up. There are the two tabs, and they didn't plug in very well to the bottom of these guys here, but they will plug in with like the force of Satan into that hood. So get a spudger when you're coming out of vehicle mode. The arms are going to do this thing where you want to have the shoulder like this, but then the arm, the hand, you're going to kind of bring around like so. Is that right? Yeah, like so. See how that fits in there? And in retrospect, it almost looks like that part makes like a seat detail, maybe? And maybe that's what the little flippy part that I didn't know it did. I don't know. But let's do the other one too. So bring this around. Swing this around. Open that. Bring this down. And compress this onto itself. Awesome possum. You know what really makes me upset is that I think I was supposed to turn the waist around, and now I can't. I can't. Oh, this makes me mad. There we go. Gosh, spudgers. They're like the best thing in the world. Whoever invented the spudger, you need a raise. All right, this guy plugs into there. You'll see that there's a little peg right here, and there's like a chunk taken out of that wheel section right there. So this is going to come around, and that chunk is going to go onto that peg, like that. For the legs, what you want to do is there's a hinge section right here, and you want to take and unclip that and hinge that around without changing the positioning of your legs. So as the legs come down, you want to swing them out, and I didn't need to turn the waist. I'm dumb. As near as I can tell, this detail here is supposed to like replicate like the look of the engine, which I think is actually really cool. That they added in that little detail there. So that panel flips around, and this panel comes out. The hub of this wheel will actually turn so that there's a couple pegs, and they'll plug into the to the disc brake. You want to take this guy. You want to fold these side toes in, fold the front toes in, and then this guy just kind of sits in here like this. Is kind of how it goes. Let me pull the arms back out, because the legs are going to take priority over the arms. So that's kind of how the legs go. So let me do it again. This guy comes around, plugs into itself here. This guy comes out. You got this hub section, and you can see that there's like holes. Well, there's a couple pegs on the hub section, and they will plug into a set of those holes and hold everything securely. This is going to come out. There's like a little tab that this was supposed to fit into, and I've never gotten it to fit into that properly. Actually, I have never gotten that to fit into that properly. Fold these little panels up here, fold the side toes together, fold the front toes down, and then this whole thing kind of curls up on itself. Yeah, except that the foot needs to be down straight. All right, so now what we want to do for here is there's two little pegs right in the back of that roof section. You want to plug them, or at least know that you need to plug them into this back window. And then you can tuck this window section. There's a hole right here, and then a little tab right there. That tab is going to go into that hole. And we're going to do the same for the other side. There's that hole. You gotta tuck this in underneath, like so. And then we can plug this door in to give it a little bit more rigidity. Because at this point we need rigidity in the outer shell of the car, because we're just gonna like mush everything into it. Alright, so the legs are smushed in there. Let's get this rear section plugged in. There's those two tabs there. And then the arms, I undid the arms because I had some things that I need to do with them. Now we got to take them and smush them back in. And I got to figure out how I want to do this. Again, like I said, I don't have any instructions, so I'm kind of making this up as I go along. Let's see how this works. Yeah, that works out just great. So what I did was twisted the hand around, brought this out on that double hinge, and just shoved it into that spot. And you know what? It works out pretty damn good. Make sure that everything is all tightened together. And I must have done something wrong, because now it clearly doesn't have enough clearance. Oh, that hand looks better. Nope, nope, now that part's sticking out. Ugh. You know, I've had this transformed like 3 times this week, and I feel like I had to transform this differently each time. Which tells me that, which suggests that there's like a lot of ways to do it. But, you know, of course, I'm not going to be able to find one right off the bat when I'm doing it on camera. Does that look like it has clearance? No, it doesn't. Have I mentioned yet that I don't really like this figure? Because that's really what my final consensus is. I don't like this figure. I don't think that it's very well designed. I think that it needs like more places that things actually go. Like you get a well-designed figure and you've got like stops and detents and like, you know, all sorts of mechanical cues for this piece is supposed to go here, and it'll get to that point and it'll stop. So you know you've got to the right place. And you do that and it's great. Whereas this figure is like, everything's just like, yeah, I don't know, just throw it in there somewhere, and if it works, great, and if not, keep working with it, I guess. And unfortunately, I'm in the keep working with it, I guess phase, which sucks. I feel that its use of ball joints has clearly not aged well, because lots of parts of this figure are just kind of floppy. There's a fourth-party version of this figure where it's actually Masterpiece scale. And if I'm going to recommend this figure to anyone, that'll be the version that I recommend. Because it's actually the right scale. This guy here is an oddity at best. And that's really the best I can say about it, is that you could pick it up and be like, hey, hey. Oh, also what really cracks me up, where do I got the box from? On the box, coming soon, A1CCL Sid, just like proudly advertised, as though this isn't the second worst third-party figure ever made. The worst one being that that Megatron that turns into a gun and a tank. That's possibly the worst third-party figure ever made. So here he is, roughly in his car mode. And you know, it's a decent-looking car mode. Again, it is rather small. What do I have within grasp? Here's a deluxe class figure. Also in this car mode. So, that may tell you everything you need to know about that car mode. Whoa. I'm having issues with the feet going into the proper places, so I don't really get any alignment on the back or on the front. I don't know. I kind of hate this figure. Yeah, that's about all I can say about it. There's these gaps here. Why are these gaps here? I don't know. There's no reason for those gaps to be here. Because, like, they look like they're, like, rotational gaps so that something rotates through here. And I know that this piece comes out and rotates to plug into here. But, like, first of all, it rotates this way, not this way. So I don't know why these gaps are here. They don't make any sense. The red paint on this clear plastic here and the red plastic here doesn't really line up. Though, I mean, that's hardly, you know, an uncommon issue. And just, I mean, alt mode looks okay for the most part, but I really don't like this figure. Anyhow, everybody, thanks for watching this clusterfuck of a figure and therefore review. You guys are fantastic. Everybody stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya. Bye.